Hello, I am Pig of Mustache. Well, not really. Every time I introduce myself to people as Pig of Mustache, they look at me as if I'm weird. In today's video, I plan to see how well a project like Blue Lock would fare in real life. And to make sure I do a good enough job, I watched every single episode of Blue Lock, even the controversial second season. And frankly, I don't see why people criticize the animation. I also read the manga so I can be up to date with all the future events in the story. All to get to this video where I made a team using only players from Blue Lock. Then I put them inside the 60th tier of English football on Football Manager, of course. The one game I use for every single video. And I simulated for 10 years to see how far they can get and how much they can improve in an environment that only has strikers and everyone is competing against each other. Why is it lagging? It's pretty good. Now, if you're wondering what is Blue Lock, then why are you here? No, it's good that you are here, but why? Unless you are already a subscriber that plays Football Manager, in which case you probably don't really know what the cool kids are watching. Blue Lock is an anime that follows our main character, Izagi Ioichi, a striker playing in a high school competition where victory would mean his team would qualify for the national stage. And we all know how in Japan high school football is serious business. In the final moments of the match, with his team losing, he has a chance to score and tie the game, but he decides to pass to his teammate instead, who is in a much better position to be fair, and misses despite having an open goal. Luckily to him, the Japan Football Association, after a catastrophic campaign 2018 World Cup where they were fine actually, that caused such shame around the country that it made them decide to spend the country's entire GDP to make the Blue Lock facility, which is a copy of the US Pentagon, and also building that is a massive white elephant. I mean, why do they have training rooms with holograms? Isn't it just cheaper to get a real goalkeeper? Damn AI is stealing our jobs. Other examples are a room with a giant television that is almost as big as the room itself, and the only way to watch anything there is putting your face right in front of it, risking destroying your eyes and your career. And a dining hall that has room for 500 people but never has more than 11 at a time. And that's without mentioning the wives card room, where they just decide to ignore every single basic human right that there is, all of that because Japan lost to the strongest Belgian generation of all time in the very last minute. It is to this facility that 300 high school strikers are invited to become part of the Blue Lock project, where in the end, they will create one striker who will be the best in the world, so Japan can finally win the World Cup. Because according to the show, that's the main reason Japan hasn't won a World Cup yet. Everyone else is fine, it's just the strikers that suck. Now, imagine what it feels like to be a Japanese attacker while the show is going on. This red juice is very good. Hey guys, did you know there's a new football anime that's really popular of the new generation? Oh, that's really cool, we should watch it. Wouldn't it be cool if Japan had a good striker? Our strikers suck balls. The only reason we didn't win the World Cup yet is because of Ueda, Maeda and Furuhashi and nobody else.
Konnichiwa.
A really important thing for this test is how good the Blue Lock players really are. On one hand, they are doing things that are really difficult or even impossible for real players to do, like Izagi's direct shot, which is just a normal volley, but it's guaranteed to score. And it got to the point where it became a trend to describe the Blue Lock players as being completely overpowered. On the other hand, if I don't run in a straight line, my movement may get the defender off guard. So the solution I got is, the players are just good enough they like to show people on the internet, but they're not good enough that other people will say it's fake. Some of the most interesting players in my opinion are, first, Jin Gagamaru, who is a striker that has a lot of body mobility So much so that he's actually even better as a goalkeeper. I also needed someone to be on goal, otherwise I couldn't make a team. As you can see here, everyone else is a striker. Another one is Chingo Raichi, who is a striker that happens to be a really good player defensively, so he's able to play as a defensive midfielder. There's also Ikiniko, who is a striker that's really good at long passes, and he found out he actually enjoyed being a defender, so he's a ball-playing defender now. Almost like there's a trend going on here. And finally, there's our protagonist Izagi, who is a striker that creates lots of opportunities with his playmaking ability. If only there was a position where being a playmaker made more of a difference. But I guess he's stuck to being a striker. None of that can be said about Baru though, he's basically a Lewandowski clone. There's a few other guys as well, but depending on why you're watching this video, you already know about them or you don't really need to know about them. Also, a little disclaimer, there are some new match engines that make the game more realistic or more insane. For the experiment itself, I used the most realistic one, but for the goals that I'm gonna show, I used the insane one because that's what Blue Lock is all about. An important aspect is, how should we play? Since we have 22 attackers and no defenders in the team, so I decided to put the players where they work best, and that means an ultra offensive tactic where everyone is trying to score. I also attempted to copy as close as possible the way they do plays in the anime, with plenty of short passes and dribbles, so we can have a serious shot at playing some Blue Lock football. Luckily, in Football Manager, our first game is against our own reserve team, which means I can force them to use the same tactic as ours, and see if our players are well suited to play like this. Which, judging by the results, seems to be the case, so that's a good start. But after that, we have our first real opponent, Margate, a team 2 divisions below us, and they showed me that they were a problem because we went to halftime with a 4-goal disadvantage. So I decided to play a little more defensively in the second half. Instead of 4 attacking midfielders and 3 strikers, I used 5 attacking midfielders and 2 strikers, and to my surprise, we actually won. See, I was thinking, at this point of the video, I would have to change to a more realistic tactic because obviously this is not going to work forever, but maybe it can. So I prepared another friendly against a stronger team from 1 division above us, and there it is. Well, even in the anime they accept that not everyone can attack at the same time, but I still wanted to keep the offensive Blue Lock mentality, so I came up with this weird 4-4-2 diamond shape. We got, as always, Gagamaru on goal. Our defenders are Nico and Reo. They both already play more defensively in the anime and they both have great passing abilities, so they're both ball-playing defenders here. Along them, there's Karazu as a 3rd defensive player, just like in the anime. Realistically, I believe we need a physically strong midfield to help, so we got either Zantetsu, Kunigami or Raichi in that position. I also want a midfielder that's good, so I'm using Nagi with Kurona as an option for him. On the wings, I gave space to 2 of the most talented players that we have, obviously Pachira and Yukimiya, with Chigiri and Otoya in the bench, so there's a lot of quality here. Izagi is our shadow striker, which is exactly how he plays in the anime, so that's an obvious one. On attack, there's Rin, who is our best player, and Baru, who is our best pure striker. But that's all just an example that I made. In the end, it's the computer that's going to decide who plays where. Just in case this tactic was a little bit risky and didn't work, I stopped in the middle of the season to analyze, and we were actually doing very well. Like, sure, our players are much better than the opponents, but at least our opponents are not scoring 10 goals against us. So I decided to keep using this tactic. Our first 2 seasons were pretty chill, winning the league both times and also the FA trophy in our second season. Now it's time to enter the professional leagues, and we're stuck in League 1. Things actually seemed fine at first because we got another direct promotion in League 2, but after that we had many seasons being mid-table, with one time losing in the playoffs and the very next season being relegated because Gagamaru got injured for almost half a season, and we didn't really have a second option. Something interesting about the players is because they were forced to play in different positions, they eventually learned how to play there. Like Karasu, who made to the Japanese national team as a defensive midfielder. Speaking of the national team, a number of players made it to Japan, but less than I expected because I gave players like Rin and Bachira the potential to be amongst the best players in the world, but even at what's supposed to be the peak of their careers, they still never got even close. The worst cases were of Shigiri and Mikage, who had potential to be in the Premier League but became average League 1 players instead. With all that, I have to say, Blue Lock is a project that's doomed to fail in real life. Maybe making strikers work on playing a new position in an important stage of their careers is not a very smart move, and the real good guy of the story is the president of the Japanese Football Association, who wanted to cancel Blue Lock from the beginning. I also have a Twitch channel where I play Football Manager and other games as well, and I have good fun when there's people to interact with me there. So if you got to this part of the video, you could do something cool for me and follow me there, or even subscribe to me here. If you got any cool ideas for a Football Manager experiment, drop one in the comments below. I may do it for my next video. What's that? Oh shit.